can have an extended prime. Here's Curry when asked about championship windows. Take a listen.
You're thinking this year and next year, and you're thinking, with Clay coming back, you're thinking about all those different things. But right now, who's to say, we can't put pieces together? We have, I'm in the middle of my prime and thinking about, just all the things that we've gone through over the last 4 or 5 years that we can kind of build on. It's hard to say what the actual number is, but I think we're in a good spot right now. Let's put it that way.
You just said you feel like you're in the middle of your prime. How far do you think you can stretch that for?
We're gonna find out.
I mean, Paul, Steph said he feels like he's just in his 20s, saying he's in the middle of his prime. Do you think that's BS or real talk?
That's real talk. He's an all-time player, Rach, and all-time players find a way each and every year. His prime, he doesn't rely on a lot of athleticism. The way he handles the ball, the way he shoots, he can be doing this for another 6-7 years. I truly believe that. If they get some pieces around him, the magic can happen for them again.
Yeah, this is real talk. I mean, you think about it. We comparing him to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is showing everybody with technology and science and everything we know about nutrition that these guys can play long into their 40s now. And so that's a contact sport. You're telling me Steph Curry can't do it in the NBA with the way that he plays the game, and his game, again, like Paul said, is based on a lot of skill and shooting and things like that. I don't see why it couldn't be. This guy, when he got hurt, it wasn't like he got old man injuries. He had a real injury that happened, freakishly. And so This guy's going to come back and pick up where he left off. We've already seen him have big games, and as they put those pieces back together, like he said, we're going to be talking about Golden State like we usually do.
I mean, certainly the way Curry plays does lend itself to an old man game. Not that he needs to have one right now. He's still way too young for that. But the point is, his game is going to age well in the league. The question with him was the injuries. And Fizz, you're right. It's not because he had sort of old and creaky injuries, but there was a point in his career he was injury prone. And certainly right now, without Clay active on the court, teams are going at him. They're double and triple teaming him. They are physically roughing him up. So the only concern I would have is, is that kind of thing going to take a wear and tear on him or reignite some sort of injury that hasn't surfaced in years and years? But I don't expect it to. I expect Steph Curry to be Steph Curry. And again, the way he plays basketball tells me that prime is going on for a long time.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I want to get to the Nets because a lot of people have had thoughts. Paul, I know you have had thoughts on the Nets defense. Isaiah Thomas, now the younger one, not Zeke, the younger one, the one who was just named to Team USA, joining the conversation as he watched that Nets-Wizards thriller on Sunday. Here's what IT shared on Twitter, quote, "Who plays defense in the NBA? Nobody, LOL. You can't win how the game is called. It's an offensive game. Even the best defenders are getting 30 put on their head every night." Paul, do you think that IT saying that nobody plays defense anymore is BS or real talk?
I think it's real talk. I mean, in today's game, it's tough to play defense, Ray. There's a lot of switching. The rules are geared toward the offensive players. You can't have any kind of physicality. And so, I mean, that's why you're seeing these astronomical numbers getting put up. You're seeing guys average triple doubles. Guys are putting up numbers we haven't seen in this league ever. And so, the defense is almost non-existent. But it's fun to watch. When you see the Nets go out there and score 140 and lose scoring 140, I mean, it's exciting. But, I don't think there's any defense being played much.
I would disagree a little bit from the standpoint of, I think under the rules that are out there, I think coaches and teams, there are some great defensive teams. I think we got to readjust our lens and start looking at the fact that the scores are going to be higher. Now, how do you judge a defense based on the explosion in scoring? And I think that there are coaches that are doing a great job of, under the circumstances of the league rules and the way teams are playing with the speed and the spacing, that there are coaches putting together great defensive systems to give themselves a chance to win and to win big.
Well, it's funny talking about the Nets in this context because they're almost like their own traveling all-star game when they play, right? They've got multiple big-name players, and the scores are in the 140s. So it feels like an all-star game, but that's not enough for the NBA, guys. Coming up, we're going to talk about the latest update on the All-Star game that the NBA is negotiating with players over that would happen in March in Atlanta. Is it a good idea? We will explore all the latest in the next segment. First, though, here's what the Jump recommends for today. Today at 4 Eastern on YouTube, I really wanted to get this out to everyone. They're going to have a celebration of Sekou Smith's life. You can click on the link in this tweet on Sekou Smith's Twitter account, his the Hawks, but the interaction between LeBron and a Hawks fan courtside, that was the story. The fan was ejected, eclipsing all the other headlines from the game. Here's LeBron's take on what happened. Actually, very generous.
I'm happy fans are back in the building. I miss that interaction. I need that interaction. We as players need that interaction. I don't feel like it was warranted to be kicked out. There was a back and forth between two grown men, and we said our piece. He said his piece. I said my piece, and then when someone else jumped into it and said their piece. But I didn't think they were, should have been kicked out. But they might have had a couple of drinks maybe, and they could have probably kept it going, and the game wouldn't have been about the game no more. So I think the referees did what they had to do.
Maybe they had some drinks. Who knows? There is only fans in 9 arenas right now, guys. Only 5 of those arenas, which does include Atlanta, allows fans to sit courtside. Now, it's important to note those courtside seats no closer than 10 feet from the court. All the fans in this arena are tested, in that area of the arena are tested. But this is the first type of tight fan interaction with players that we have seen since the coronavirus age began, Fizz. We are still fighting this pandemic. Do you feel fans should be allowed to sit this close right now?
I do. I think it's fine. If they're tested, and I know Adam Silver wouldn't take any chances, I do think we got to start trickling the fans back in. And I agree with him. Unless something crazy was said, this is the normal banter that goes on during the NBA game courtside. And so the only reason it stands out is because it's not a lot of people in the building. So it looks like it's more than it is. But if that was a packed building, come on, let's be real about it. No one would be kicking her out of the game right now. Right? It would just be a normal. It's about 30 other people in a packed building saying the same stuff, if not worse. And so that was, unfortunately, it's an empty building for it. But I do believe that we should start working our fans back in as the health codes allow it.
Listen, Rach, I enjoyed nothing more than going on the road and having a great conversation with the fans. I mean, that's something that really got me going. That's something I totally enjoyed, and I'm glad to see it. I mean, LeBron had a great answer. He it was some back and forth. They said their piece, but sometimes that gets players going. As long as it's done in the right way. I mean, look at LeBron is always interacting with the fans. I mean, that's part of the game. I loved it, especially on the road. I love to do that.
No, you are definitely one of the players, Paul, who I always felt that from. And LeBron has openly said, right? Remember at the beginning of all of this, he said, I don't even want to play without fans in the building. Some of you guys get so geeked up by it that it really makes a difference in your on-court play. And Fizz, we saw with LeBron right earlier, just in this same road trip, when a member of the Cavaliers front office made a little bit too celebratory of a celebration of his miss. What happened there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be what it is. It's part of the chirp. Like a guy like LeBron and a guy like Paul Pierce, when they go on the road, they don't want that fan to get kicked out. They're going to rip their heart out during the game. Yeah. They're going to try to dominate your team more. They're going to utterly destroy your team. And don't, God forbid, let it come down to the last shot. I've been on the other end of the Paul Pierce buzzer beaters. It hurts badly. Actually, I've been on the end of multiple. So, those guys live for that moment. And so I just think right now, without a big crowd and guys seeking motivation and needing that extra oomph to really get up for these games, I think those kind of fans are kind of needed.
Well, LeBron certainly said the most gracious thing possible afterward, and then his tweet saying courtside Karen, mad, pretty exceptional as well. All right, guys, coming up, winter. Paul, what's the basketball equivalent of 6 more weeks of winter?
Probably watching the worst teams in the NBA night in and night out until the season ends.
Yes, it's like NBA League Pass, but you only get teams that are out of the playoff picture. Like if that was what was on your TV, yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad. Well, there you go.